Hello and welcome to the Horror Ghouls, another exciting episode of movie recaps and fun and laughter and jokes. I don't know. We're just
Yes.
making shit up here. Sorry, bots. It's too soon to start cursing. I apologize. I'm Megan,
I'm T.
and we are the hosts of the Horror Ghouls, and we are happy to have you with us today. We are continuing on with our summer series.
Yes, the Summer
And
Slasher
Summer
series.
slasher series. This is a slasher in a different way, the movie we're going to talk about today. Something I'm excited to talk about because I love, everyone knows what I love. They're not going to know because they're like, you talk about boys a lot. We don't know. Vampires. I love vampires.
And in my
So
mind, I was like, she loves boys. No.
we're going to talk about the Lost Boys today because if
Yes.
there's anything better than a boy, it's a Lost Boy. That's not a good joke. Missing children is not funny. I'm sorry. Anyway,
Oh, I didn't even think about that. What?
too
What?
dark, too dark. Anyway. Lost Boys was directed by Joel Schumacher, and it came out in a year that I don't have in front of me, so we're going to find out right now. There we
1987.
go. Oh, the year of my
Yes.
birth. There we go. It all makes sense now.
Oh, wow.
The
How
year of my birth.
special.
It is very special. Thanks, Joel
Yes.
Schumacher. So we open the movie with the song Cry Little Sister, which you hear 700 more times throughout the movie. It is like the only song they use, except for one special saxophone song throughout the movie. I'm just going to tell you how I wrote this because I think it's very funny. A bunch of hot 80s goth dudes at a boardwalk. It's so on brand. In the fictional coastal town of Santa Carla. It's Carla, right?
It
I feel like I'm
is.
gonna get it backwards at some point. It's like an Atlantic City situation on their boardwalk, except they have rides and things like
They
that.
do. Atlantic
Looks
City
like
has rides.
does do they?
They do.
Oh, maybe I just didn't get to that part of the boardwalk.
Maybe not
I get too
yet.
distracted when I'm walking down and I'm like, ooh, there's buffets and shops and things. Anyway, so these guys, the gothy dudes, are walking around causing a little bit of trouble, just being weird, mysterious. A security guard orders them off the boardwalk. As we close down for the night, all the lights are hit. The security guard is walking to his car, and all of a sudden we see him notice something, and he starts running. He's trying to get in his car, and as he's doing that, he actually gets ripped away with great force, but into the air.
It
So that's
serves
it.
him right because he was not using a key to get in said car. He was just
Yeah,
pulling on the door, and you could
that's
see
not
that the door was locked.
that's not going to do a damn thing for you, my
No.
friend. Sorry about that. So that's kind of our beginning, our little mystery. Like what's happening in Santa Carla? Something weird, right? So then we see two boys and their mom and their cute husky, very cute, are moving. They're driving to Santa Carla. Michael is the oldest son. Sam is the younger son, and their mom is Lucy, and their husky is Nanook, and he is, like I said, very cute. We do see in the process of them driving through the town, we see some missing posters around, and they just make a point of showing that, there's a little bit of a thing happening. So we're going to find out what that's about. We do find out that this family is actually moving in with Lucy's dad. He's an eccentric, wacky kind of guy. His house is kind of wacky. He loves taxidermy, loves it, but he seems like a fun time. He seems like a fun guy. I like him.
He does. I
Yeah.
absolutely love like he greets everybody by playing dead. So I mean that's always fun.
Grandpa. Yeah, like he's adorable. I love him. So back at the boardwalk that night, there is a man gyrating and playing saxophone to the song I Still Believe. It's actually by Tim Capello. This is actually I didn't know this until I looked it up. This is actually a cover of the song. So I don't know what
Oh,
the original sounds like, but he is actually performing it in the movie with his saxophone, and he did record it in real life, both singing and playing the saxophone. So just little fun facts sprinkled in there for you.
he's so sweaty and greasy and topless, but very muscular and like not just like normal muscular, like he's like thick muscular and he has on a pair of jeans that are like poured onto him.
Yeah.
It's such an awkward scene to see him gyrating with a saxophone of all things
Yeah.
because it's like out of nowhere. And don't get me wrong, it sounds great.
He
Like I,
sounds
I
good.
actually liked everything that was
Yeah,
going
yeah,
on as far as the music and stuff, but
sure.
like seeing him gyrating gave me pause.
Well, You know what is really funny about this, especially like if you subscribe to horror pages, hopefully ours on the internet, like the Horror Ghouls on Instagram and Facebook. But when you follow a lot of horror pages, you do see posts, quite a few posts that relate to this person. And it's so funny that it's just a moment in the movie, but it's so prominent in people's minds, like just this saxophone moment. So it's pretty funny. Even if you haven't seen this movie, you've probably seen that clip at this point
And I was
online,
going to say, I've
right?
seen this clip before, but did not know what movie it was from. So I
Now you
was very like,
know.
oh, okay.
Now you know. So that night, while the saxophone man is honking away, that's the first time that Michael, remember the oldest son, sees Star, just beautiful young lady. Yeah, she's dancing around, and but she notices Michael staring at her, and she bolts when she like really figures it out that he won't stop looking at her. So while that's going on, Lucy, remember the mom, she's wandering the boardwalk. She finds a lost child and walks him into a video store to get some help. She meets Max, the owner, and his dog, Thorn. While they are chatting, and someone does come to claim their child, so he's no longer a loss, the hot goth boys come in and kind of just look like they're a little mischievous. They look like they're up to no good. And Max actually kicks them out of the store. And he's like, "Get out of here, you wild kids!" Like whatever, whatever old people say. Like,
Get off
come on.
my lawn.
Yeah,
He said, I told you boys not to come in here.
yeah, pretty
I
much.
told you not to come in here.
I'm so happy this tradition is continuing through our episodes of how would Judd say it from Pet Cemetery. It's
Just
beautiful.
a fun fact, I was talking to my mom today about Pet Cemetery
Hmm.
because she watched the new one by accident and not
Hmm.
the first one. So
Okay.
she's like, which Pet Cemetery should I be watching? The one with the girl that dies or the one with the boy that dies? And I said, the one with the boy that died. She said, the one with Jed? I said, the Jed that's Herman Munster. She said, yeah. I said, yeah, the one that talks like this. And she was like, oh, okay, yeah, I think I watched that second.
It's a great identifier, honestly. Like he is so iconic. I feel
But
like
go
we're
on with your
yeah,
movie.
but go on. Stop journeying down the pet cemetery path. But we love it so much. Anyway, so Lucy in talking to Max is actually like, I need a job. So she gets a job at the video store. Fine, great, all good. Sam, at the same time, is wandering a comic book store and meet Edgar and Alan Frog. They give him a vampire comic and they tell him, like, ominously, it can save your life. The way they talk is very
Weird.
silly. Like, they're
Yeah,
very serious, but they're young and it's kind of difficult for them to pull off, but it's funny. It's a little campy. I like it. Anyway,
it is. And I love their names are Edgar and Allen. And I want to say Poe every single
right.
time.
I wonder, it has to be like relation, like it has to be because of
I
that.
would
Anyway,
say.
right.
I would say so.
So later, they ask him if he's noticed anything about Santa Carla. Turns out the two of them are vampire hunters, and they again tell him to read the vampire comic. They put their phone number on the back in case he needs them for, vampire purposes, regular stuff. So on the boardwalk, Star climbs onto the back of one of the hot goth guys' motorcycles. So we don't know them yet, so that's why I keep calling them that. But we do find out, and I'm just going to introduce his name at this point as David. He's blonde, bleach blonde. It's also I'm trying to
Kiefer
say it so his
Sutherland.
name's escaping me. Kiefer
Kiefer
Sutherland.
Sutherland.
I could say it. We were just saying it before we started, and all of a
Yes.
sudden I lost my mind. So he and his gang take off into the night. There's four in addition to him. No, three.
Yes, three in
There's
addition to
three
him.
in addition to him.
And there's a
So
kid and there's Star.
yes. So there's like this whole little gang family. We don't The kid is weird because it's like we see him for a second and then he disappears, but then we see him for a second again. So we'll know more about him
Well,
later.
he gets on the back of the motorcycle along with Star. Not the same motorcycle that Star gets on, but he gets on
Oh.
another
I must have
motorcycle.
I must have missed that one. That's probably weird too. Like you're up to like debauchery in the night and you're like, "Come
They
on,
just
kid, get on
they
my
pick the
bike.
kid up and throw him on the bike. It's like, get on.
Let's go. Come on."
Yeah.
So then we see a little later, there's like a makeout point somewhere nearby, and these two people are in the car. The roof gets ripped off, and both the occupants are ripped out and pulled out, and again away into the sky. So something weird is happening in Santa Carla. So I guess this is like another night, or maybe the same night something happens. I don't know. But Star starts talking to Michael on the boardwalk. She approaches him, and David and his gang pull up. Their names are Paul, Dwayne, and Marco, just so you guys know. But it's not really relevant to anything. We're not going to be referring to them throughout, except that all of them are really good looking, except for Marco. Well, Marco has a weird face. We're sorry. We don't
It's
want to shame.
unfortunate.
It's unfortunate. It's just what it is. David, he's sensing that I guess Michael has like a thing for Star, and he's a little like weird about that. So he just tells Michael, because they all have motorcycles, including Michael, to keep up with the crew as they drive high speed to their secret hideout.
Well, I will
Um,
say this. Michael has a dirt bike. They
True.
have motorcycles. So it's a little odd because Michael's like, I can't beat you. And David's like, I'm not telling you to beat me. I'm telling you just keep up.
Yeah.
So just so you know, so there's a little bit of danger there with him riding a dirt bike as opposed to riding a
Well, and
motorcycle.
trying to keep up with them,
Right.
that's not a good thing. So
Right.
David again makes Star get on the back of his bike that he's like, "Oh, you want this girl? That's cool. Like, let's see, whatever." So they're riding, and Michael is indeed having a very hard time keeping up because of his dirt bike situation. And they're getting towards the end of their adventure, and David almost has Michael run off a cliff on his dirt bike, but he does stop just in time. They wind up in their little cave hideaway, which was formerly a luxury hotel resort back in the day, but did get buried during an earthquake.
The 1906 earthquake, actually, which, if you remember the year 1906, that goes back to what event?
The Winchester thing?
Yep.
The Winchester earthquake that toppled like three of the stories, if I'm not mistaken. Is
Yes.
that right?
Yep.
Oh, who knew?
Right.
And also buried this hotel like in semi in a cliff. So one of the guys is Marco actually brings Chinese food because they're hungry and they're a little hideout. They need to eat. And David toys with Michael. So he hands them food and he makes it seem as if he's eating maggots. But then he looks and it's just like noodles. And
Rice. The
then
first time it was rice, yeah.
oh, right. The first time it was rice, and the second time it was noodles, but he made it look like worms or whatever. David, there's something interesting going on. Like he has like little magical abilities. David then offers Michael a bottle of red liquid and tells him to drink and be one of them. Now, again, what are you talking about? We don't know. They proceed after that because Michael just does it. Well, I'll say this. Star is behind him and kind of whispering, like, don't drink that. It's blood. And Michael's like, "Pfft,
Right.
okay, like, sure,
Right.
sure it is.
Which is crazy because twice now you've seen that at one point you might have been eating maggots and another part you might have been eating worms, and now you're not going to believe somebody saying that might be blood. Like I would probably take some
Well, she's
I
also the
take
one that's
pause.
been the nicest to him, right? Like the other guys are weird. Like definitely have a weird vibe. And she's like, "Hey, maybe
Yeah.
don't do that." Like, I
And
don't
it's
know.
clear it is clear that Star likes him because at one point
Yes.
she does seem like she's going to go with him, but David's like, "Nah, you coming with me, girl." And
Yeah.
so, so
Right.
clearly there's some attraction between Michael and Star that is reciprocated. So I don't know
Yeah.
why he wouldn't trust her because he's like, "Whatever," and he drinks out of the magical liquidy bottle.
He might have gotten caught up in that like mob mentality. Like, I'm just
Yeah,
gonna be cool, like
I'm gonna be a
whatever.
macho man.
Right. And then the village people come out and start singing their song.
Macho,
Macho. Yep.
macho man.
That'd be really funny, actually. So
That would have.
after he drinks from the bottle because he's being a dope, everyone proceeds to like dance and twirl around in like this montage of dancing, which is fun. It's fine. And the guys make their way to a bridge with some train tracks. This is like it's very high up and you cannot see the ground at all. There's a lot of fog, but it is clear that it's set up high. One by one, the guys drop off the bridge, and David just says, "Come with us." And we see they're actually hanging onto some metal pipes underneath the bridge. So Michael, still, I don't know, caught up in mob mentality, is like, yeah, okay. And he drops down and hangs with the rest of them on a pipe. A train comes, causing very intense vibration, and it's affecting all of them. But one by one, the guys kind of drop off that as well. Michael is like, WTF, continues to hold on until he really can't anymore, and he kind of plummets. So also, just right before he did that, David is the last one. Him and Michael are face to face, and he's like, "You're one of us. Let go." So it's all very cryptic and weird, but Michael still has no idea what any of this means and just tries to fight it. But like I said, he can't. He just falls off. He seems like he's falling for a very long time, but then all of a sudden he's in his bed. He like falls into his bed almost, and
Yeah.
he's all dirty from his adventures. So it's not like he was like in his pajamas and he dreamed it. Like he's filthy from crawling around in a cave, essentially. So Michael immediately begins to have a little sensitivity to light and walks around with sunglasses on at all hours. Lucy reveals her boss Max from the video store asked her out to dinner. Michael needs to stay home with his brother. Michael suddenly finds regular food gross. And there's this whole sequence that night where it's like the gang, like David and his gang are like right outside. There's like revving of motorcycles, there's lights, there's all this stuff going on. But then suddenly there's nothing. There's nothing outside. So Michael is like going through some stuff. He's like, am I bugging out? Am I like, I don't know what's happening.
Well, let's say this too. This is
Hmm.
a real sequence because Sam also sees this happening. So
He does.
it's not like it's really just in his imagination. It's also being manifested so that Sam can see it. So that if anything, they're having a folly or do moment or something,
Right.
collaborative delusions, whatever, but they both do see all this shit going on.
They do, but at different times though, I think.
No, it
But
was
they
the same
do.
time. They were standing there at the same time.
They were?
They
I thought he
yeah,
was
they
at a
was
different location.
they were in at this point at night, they're both in the same exact room. They were in the living room, and Sam is telling Michael, like, don't open the door. Don't open the door because they're seeing all these lights and
Oh, no, I'm
everything.
sorry. I thought you were saying Max. That's
No,
why
no,
I was
no.
confused. Okay, okay. Yeah,
No.
Sam is definitely witnessing this as well. It's not
Yeah,
like
if I said Max, I'm sorry. I meant Sam. Sorry.
I might have misheard it. You guys will know. We'll find out later when we watch it back. We don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, Sam definitely witnesses it too, but then it's like I said, it's gone. So they just don't know kind of what's happening. But Sam goes to take a bath or shower or whatever.
Bath. Yeah.
There we go. And Michael, all of a sudden, he's like weirdly drawn towards the bathroom and towards Sam. And he's like not feeling well. Something's weird. And he opens the door and he's looking at Sam weird. But the dog, Nanook, is like, something's weird. I feel like you're gonna attack my pal here. And Nanook attacks him before anything can happen. Because presumably what we are imagining here is that Michael is drawn to blood because all his food sources are now gross to him and he's like realizing he has like weird instincts. So,
It's bloodlust.
bloodlust, exactly. So he realizes though after that there's a problem. Sam, after this, they have this like encounter and they're like, what's happening? He notices that Michael's reflection is fading. He's looking a little ghostly in the mirror. Sam immediately is like, oh my God, you're a vampire.
My own brother, a goddamn shit-sucking vampire. Oh, you wait till mom finds out.
But he also doesn't seem overly concerned when he's delivering this, right?
Yeah, that's what was so funny to me because I felt like there was a element of oh my god, but at the same time it was so casual because he was like, "Oh my god, you're a vampire. Wait until mom finds out." I'm sorry, what? But
Yeah,
he was also scared because he went to go lock himself in his bedroom
right.
because he didn't want to be near Michael because at this point he's like, "I don't know if you're about to eat me or something or kill me."
Right. He did do that. It was just the initial reaction, but he does lock himself in his room
It was
and
odd.
he does pick up his vampire comic immediately because he's like, what do I do? How do I deal with this? Whatever. And he calls the Frog Brothers and they confirm his concerns and they also think Michael has turned into a vampire. They advise him to get a stake and to stake Michael. And Sam's like, no, that's that's my brother. What do you mean? Another new thing that Michael discovers is that he floats. He was sleeping, right? And he wakes up on the ceiling of his room and he can't get down. So he's like he's freaking out. In an effort to fix the situation, he's like trying to drag himself down. He like winds up getting outside the house. He's hanging on for dear life. He's banging on Sam's window, let me in. Sam's trying to call the mom and be like, your other child's a vampire, I don't know. And he's screaming and Lucy's freaking out. So she goes to leave her date. It's pretty crazy. She rushes away from dinner. The boys in this time kind of make up as much as you can make up with your vampire sibling. Michael comes inside and he's basically like, I need help. We'll get through it together. We're brothers, whatever. So mom comes in. Sam is covering for Michael, telling Lucy, I read a scary comic book. It made me think I saw something. During this scene, we see on the counter there's a milk carton with another missing child, but this one we know because we've already seen this child with Star. That is Laddie. That's the little boy we were talking about who they threw on the motorcycle before. This is what I thought you were talking about before. Max is out and about. I think he's at his house.
Yeah, he was going home.
Yeah, he's going home. He hears strange sounds. He finds first that it's his dog Thorn, and then he gets hit in the head by a bat kite, which is kind of funny. That made me laugh. But then we see the same thing that Michael and Sam experience with the revving of the motorcycles. We see the headlights, but it's just got kind of a quick flash scene and then we move on.
Yeah.
So the next thing we know, Michael has made his way back to the hideout and is calling out for Star, who he finds. She's like sleeping or whatever. He wants to know what's happening to him. And she's like, I can't tell you. And she doesn't. So instead of having a conversation, they just like get it on. Because don't solve any problems. Just like, it's fine.
Which I skipped because I was like, I don't care.
It was like 2 seconds on the
I
screen. Like
know.
it wasn't an,
I was like, I don't care about this little mom. As soon as she started kissing him, I was like, bullshit. Let's go.
I know. Anyway, you're like, huh. They probably played Cry Little Sister again too with that. Yeah,
Probably.
they play it so many times. You're gonna be so tired of Cry Little Sister when you watch this movie. So Michael awakens with Star and he hears the rest of the boys having a great time somewhere else in the cave, and no one is there, right?
I feel like they were coming back because it was turning into daytime. So I feel
It
like they were coming
was.
back from a night of debauchery and coming home because it sounded like motorcycles were coming in. Almost that
Yeah,
same type of sound when they were like at Max's house and they were at Sam and Michael's house too, like that
yeah.
whole sound. So I guess they were coming home.
Yeah, and that makes sense, but it's like it sounded like they were close by, and when he looks up and
Yeah,
he doesn't see them, so he's just like, well,
right.
okay, well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So Michael returns home and his mom is trying to talk to him, but he looks all cool now. He's got sunglasses in the daytime. He's like, Mom, I'm tired. We're not talking and whatever. So Lucy takes wine, a bottle of wine, to Max's house to apologize for running out on him the night before. And she goes to go up to the house by herself, but Thorne comes and really acts uncharacteristically for Thorne, who's seemingly friendly the rest of the time, and he chases her and he winds up ripping her dress. But as we see him, we see Sam has his comic book, his tried and true, trusty best friend comic book.
Yeah,
And we
because Sam
see,
stayed in the car. They went in
yes,
the car, but Sam stayed in the car.
right. He has his comic book and he's seeing that it says like Hounds of Hell. And he's like, oh my gosh, because he's correlating those things. But his mom does get away and everything's okay, but it's still suspicious. Suspicious activity, right? So Sam once again goes to the Frog Brothers for help. And he has read if you kill the head vampire, all the half vampires will turn back. They will change back to normal. He believes his brother is only half vampire. And how you become a vampire is if you feed on human blood. So that's why we think he is half. He hasn't done that. Sam theorizes to the boys that Max may be the head vampire. He doesn't have a lot of information to go off to make this assumption, but he's just kind of putting the pieces together. So, fast forward again a little bit to Lucy has invited Max over for dinner that night. She tries to get Michael to stay, but he's like, I got plans, and he goes to get out of Dodge. However, him and Max do cross paths at the door. When he opens the door to leave, Max is standing there and he says, well, as the man of the house, you should invite me in. So, by vampire tropes, it's a little bit suspicious, but Michael does because he doesn't think anything of it. But what's funny, I thought this was funny, that Sam also invited the Frog Brothers to dinner, and the mom's like, who are these people? And the boys try some shenanigans to see if Max is a vampire. Like they make him eat garlic, they throw holy water on him, and nothing affects him. He just seems like a regular dude. And to top it off, his reflection is regular because they're checking him in the mirror too. So it can't be Max, right?
Oh, I do want to add,
Yeah,
well, the grandfather was basically like, "Oh, you're having company again?"
yeah.
And she's
Right.
like, "Yeah, we're having company." And he's like, "Oh, I haven't had company in a while." She's like, "Yeah, you haven't had company since mom died like 8 years ago." He's like, "Yeah, so we're having company again." But grandpa makes himself very scarce
Yeah.
while the Frog Brothers and Max are there. Like he just does not want to be bothered. He stays in like his taxidermy room and like just kind of lurks, which
I
I
love
thought
that he
was
has a
interesting.
taxidermy room. Yeah.
Right. Which I thought
He's
was
fun.
interesting because he like kind of watches with the door cracked and he's like peering out and giving people like the weird stink eye. So I was like, huh. Hmm.
He's fun. He's very friendly and
Yeah.
interesting. But yeah, no, so that is definitely a little bit of a weirdness. So after all this, Lucy's very embarrassed about how the boys are treating Max. They're like throwing water on him and like making him eat weird stuff and whatever. So he invites her for dinner at his house the next night, hoping for a better outcome because their last two dates went very poorly.
Yes.
So Michael finds and confronts David and Co. on the boardwalk and asks for Star. He's like, where is Star? Whatever. And David's like, if you ever want to see her again, you have to come with us. They hang out watching what looks like a bunch of drunken hooligans around a bonfire, and David tells him it's time to join the club. And the guys reveal their true vampire selves, fangs and creepy eyes, an ability to fly, the whole nine. They attack the bonfire people while Michael watches. He kind of does have like urges. He's repulsed by this, but he
Yeah.
is kind of like,
He's fighting it. Like he turns into an ugly vampire too.
he does. And he does not give in though. Like he does fight it completely. And David tells him like you have to do this, but he doesn't. So good for him.
What's gross about that one scene is that it's something I have not necessarily seen with other
Hmm.
vampires. David rips off someone's skin off their skull and like I don't know if he like eats their brain or something. It was just weird because he ripped the skin off their head like right off up here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, like I love the fact that one of them like snapped somebody's neck and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But the ripping of the scalp, like scalping somebody, I was like,
I
oh,
feel like maybe when
that's
you do
new.
it for so long that maybe you just need to find new ways to
You're
keep
getting
it
creative.
entertaining for yourself.
Right.
Yeah, he's like, let me try something out the box tonight. Like, you
Mayhaps,
know how like
mayhaps.
other people like rip the skin off like their KFC? Like maybe it's not like unlike that.
I will never think of fried chicken the same ever again. Because the moment you said that, because I'm the type
You're
of
like,
person that
ugh.
I will eat the skin before I eat the actual, this sounds nasty, before I eat the flesh of the chicken.
Just like him,
And
just like David.
right. And so
Yeah.
now I'm never going to think about that the same again. I'm just going to be like, oh,
Sorry about that.
back to my vegan days I go.
No more KFC for us.
Right.
But you can sponsor us, KFC, by contacting us at horrorghoulspodcast@gmail.com. Whatever, that's not the real email. It's fine.
No.
I thought it was. I started right and then it just went wonky on me. But Michael's at home and Sam, and they're having this interaction. Sam winds up like under the bed and under the covers because Star has come to visit. She pops herself into the house and they're like, oh my gosh, we think she's a vampire too. Like, we don't know. But she has come to spill all the tea. Michael is a half vampire, like Star and like Laddie, the kid from the milk carton, also from the bike. None of them have fed, so they're just halvesies. Star reveals that Michael was supposed to be her first kill, completing her transformation, but she couldn't because she cared for him so much, which he's kind of like scoffing at. He's like, yeah, okay. Star tells Michael it's not too late for him, but she is afraid that time is pretty much run out for her because her urges are too strong. I guess as time goes by, they get stronger and stronger. She had hoped that Michael would help her and Laddie. Michael laughs at this, and while he's laughing, she's gone. She's like, well, you're gonna laugh at me. I'm gonna bolt out the window, whatever. So she's gone. The Frog Brothers are called to the house again. They're so silly. And together with Michael and Sam, they head out to the hideout of the vampires during the day, loaded up with weapons. And they also just like stole their grandpa's car.
They
They were
stole
like,
Grandpa's car.
is it okay? They were already driving it away. And he's like, I guess. Like,
Yeah, he's like, oh, okay. He just waves. Mind you, Grandpa earlier said, nobody drives my car but me.
yeah.
And then they just rolled out like, hey, sorry, we're taking the car.
He's like, you guys look busy. That's fine. So
Yeah,
the vampires are sleeping in their little cave. The thing I thought that was funny about this is they run in up in the lair and they are so loud. They're like, come over here, like screaming. I'm like, if you were trying to sneak up on someone, that's
right.
not the way to go about it. They're
Well,
screaming. Like,
apparently the vampires are dead in the daytime because Star is the most close vampire.
right,
Star and Laddie are the closest vampires to them coming in screaming,
right.
and they are unwakeable. Like they just cannot be woken
No.
up.
I was
So I,
wondering about that too, because that was a little different. Normally, it's like
yeah,
they just need to be inside and like they sleep during the day because they're not sleeping at night. But in this, it's like they cannot wake up almost. Like
right. They're
it's,
literally dead in the daytime.
yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. So the boys want a steak Star, but Michael is like, absolutely not. And Michael actually removes Laddie and Star from the underground hideout. The other boys, the three, Sam and the Frog Brothers, go to locate the rest of the boys because they're not in the same place sleeping. So they're like, they got to be somewhere else. They find them in more like a cave atmosphere. It's very dark. They're actually hanging from the ceiling like bats
Yeah.
with weird feet and everything. It's very weird. The Frog Brothers actually do stake one of the vamps, taking out Marco, our least favorite vampire. Sorry, Marco. He's our least favorite. But unfortunately, his death is very loud and it wakes up the others.
Right. So that woke them up, but yelling and screaming did not. So
I wonder if they're almost like connected in a way too, that like
maybe.
maybe they could feel it because they do freak out. It's very messy too. Like he's screaming their sounds, but there's like blood spurting and like juices and stuff. Like, I don't know.
And glitter.
There was glitter? Oh
There
God.
surely was.
I
And I
chose
was
not to
like,
acknowledge
oh,
that.
this is some Twilight shit. Because I literally go to it because I'll talk about when I saw the glitter. Go ahead. So I'll let you finish first.
I want to know when you saw
I'll
the
tell
glitter. So,
you. I'll
okay.
bust in when I like
I
Kool-Aid
think
Man.
I don't think I really have anything more about it, but well, hold on, let's see. Oh, okay. So basically David gives chase after that. David goes after the boys as they try to get away. He almost gets them, but they're able to get out because they're too close to the sun and David gets like like he goes on fire a little bit. So they are able to escape with Laddie and Star. Is it after that you saw glitter?
Now,
Before that?
when it's right here, when they get outside and
Okay.
they're like, oh my God, we were like staking them and stuff, and they're like, get up, because out now that they're outside, Michael also cannot be be woken back up.
No.
So they're all basically unconscious. But if you look at the Frog Brothers on their
Mm.
outfits and also on Sam, they have glitter where all the blood is. So it's like blood and glitter all over them. And
Huh.
it's not even just like you're right, like just like let's pick one color of glitter. Let's just pick gold or let's pick no, it's multicolored glitter.
Huh.
It
I didn't
looks
notice that at
they
all.
look like a damn art project, okay? And
Like,
I
you
it
know what's a good
was
idea?
right, let's just put
Glitter
glitter.
blood.
And I was just like, that's just so, it was so stark because in every other scene, while they're driving down the street, while they're, doing other stuff, they still have the glitter on them. But go
That's
ahead.
interesting. Huh. Who
Yeah.
knew? You did, apparently, but I'm like, who knew? So everyone knows David and his gang are going to seek revenge that night. They get a bunch of supplies together. They're getting holy water, garlic. They try to block up the windows and such where they can. They also send Grandpa out of the house, saying like, you have to pick Mom up earlier tonight, whatever.
No, they tell him he got to go to see his hot date because Widow Johnson
Oh, that's what it was.
wants
That's right.
because he's having sex with Widow Johnson and taking her taxidermy animals too.
That's
So
cute. That's a cute
yeah,
part. Like instead of flowers, then look,
right.
I brought you this
Dead
taxidermied
animal.
raccoon wearing a dress. So cute.
Right.
One of the things I thought was funny about them getting their supplies together was like Sam was loading up a water gun with holy water, and I was like, that's like such a good idea. Just get like a super soaker, like,
Yes. I
right?
thought about that too. I was like, ooh, it looks so simple, but that's very smart.
It's very smart. Sam also tries to tell Lucy about their vampire problem over the phone, but she's
No,
like,
he goes in person. He's in person at that point. Because remember,
that's right.
after they get the holy water, they go to the boardwalk to the job.
That's right. That's right.
And he's like, yeah.
But Lucy just thinks she's trying to sabotage her third date with Max. She's like, you have problems. She's just not willing to hear it. At this point, she's not willing to hear it. So that night, David and Co. bust into the house as expected. Chaos ensues. Nanook, the cute husky, is even in on the action and helps knock one of the vampires into a tub of holy water and garlic. It's like a big soup. I really like this bathroom scene. Like the way that he was like melty in the tub and like gross and he keeps popping out. It reminded me of Stripe and Gremlins in the fountain when he
Yeah.
like pops up and then there's like a skull and then whatever. But also as he kind of like swirls down the drain, I guess, like the remnants of of him, the pipes in the house go bananas. Like there's blood shooting out of ever maybe glitter now too, I don't know, like you're saying.
Who knows?
Out of everywhere. It's crazy. So I guess that like vampire residue is tough on plumbing, I guess. I
I
don't know.
guess it breaks the toilet in half, so it must be something.
Yeah, so there's a lot of good action scenes. I'm not like breaking it down moment by moment or anything like that. But David is the last vampire to actually engage the boys. All the others, well, I guess like the two others at this point, right? They're dead. So David like waited for last, and Michael is separated from Sam when David attacks. Michael like is does his little half vampire turn after David like smacks him around a few times. They battle it out. David doesn't actually want to kill Michael. He just wants him to join them. But he's like, if you're gonna mess with me, then I'm gonna mess with you, whatever. So Michael is not about this and is actually able to impale him on some of Grandpa's taxidermy. Does come in handy. I think it was like antelope horns,
Yeah, it
something.
was.
First, I thought it was going to be like deer because there was a whole table full of like horns and antlers and shit.
Yeah, but
Um,
those were definitely antelope ones.
and he got him all the way down because those are long. Like he got him down
Yeah.
that. And again, like shout out to Grandpa for being a great taxidermist, right? So when everyone else comes down from their perspective, like fights with people, they see David dead. So I do want to go back quickly. I just want to go back to Star and Laddie are present for this. They're in the house with the guys because they want to be helped. And I feel like I just imagined everyone would assume that because Michael saved them, right? But the Frog Brothers still are like trying to kill them in the background. They're like, we're gonna kill you guys and
Well,
start.
Laddie turns like into his little vampire form at one point and is trying to like get them, but he's like a cute little pit bull.
But when he turned, it almost seemed like he was just trying to like be protected. Like he didn't seem like initially he was trying to go after them. It was almost like he was
Right.
trying to make them go away. And then he went into the corner and Star popped out and was like, leave him alone, like back up off my little friend here. And then he was like swiping at them. He's like, come here,
Yeah.
like whatever. So that was part of what was going on while the rest of them were fighting off the other vampires. There's just chaos all over. But again, so the other two are dead. David is dead. Everyone comes downstairs and sees this. And they notice unfortunately that Michael's still a vampire. So none of the people they killed, and not David, who they assumed then was the head vampire, was the head vampire because The rest of them are still half vampires. So Max and Lucy show up at this moment and find all the chaos, the blood shooting out of places, dead bodies. Like,
And I'm curious because I feel like maybe I missed something because they came in a hurry and I don't know why. Like there was nothing that alerted them, but they like
well,
literally were coming in a hurry and I just was confused as to why.
I wonder what, because there wasn't anything that really made them come in a hurry, but there
Right.
was a small scene. Basically, they're at dinner at Max's house and they're talking about, or she had called home or whatever. And Max is like, is everything okay? And she's like, yeah, but Sam just said something weird to me, but like, whatever, it's fine. And
Oh,
he was like, what did he say? And we don't actually see her tell him anything, but I assume that she told him, oh, he said there's like vampires, whatever. And
okay, okay.
maybe at that point, because we didn't witness any of the rest of the conversation.
And that's why I missed it. That's why I
Well, it
missed it.
really, like I
Okay.
said, they really didn't have conversation, but then maybe, like, we don't know if he rushed her over
Right.
or like he made an excuse or she decided to
It
go
it
look or
had to
like,
be it had to be that because that's what happened. I remember the part where she got the phone call or whatever, and then she said, "Oh, it's just so silly." And he's like, "Well, what did he say?" And then I don't remember anything else. And then I remember them rushing. So you explained it now. So now I'm
right,
I'm
right.
I'm straight because
Okay.
I thought I blacked out for a second because I'm like, why
You're
would
like,
they
what
rush
happened?
there?
It was a very short scene. It was
Yeah.
a very short scene. So basically, again, they show up. Max sees David's dead body and walks back to Lucy and he goes, I'm so sorry. Like, everything is my fault. And he starts, it gets a little creepy. He's like, the boys just misbehaved. So it's a little weird. Sam and Star are both immediately like, you're the head vampire. David was protecting you. They both kind of come to the same conclusion in that moment. Max is kind of like, yeah, pretty much. He's just like nods, like, yeah, that's true. The Frog brothers are confused though, because he passed all their vampire tests.
Hmm.
Max lets them know that inviting a vampire into your home basically makes them immune to your classic vampire tropes. You
Which
lose
is
all your
wild.
power.
That is the wildest retcon that well, it's not really a retcon, but it's the wildest thing I've ever heard
Yeah,
because I feel like one thing, yes, you should never invite a vampire into your house, but I did not think that that negated anything so that now when they come in, you can't see that they're a vampire, they can eat
right.
garlic, they can be hit with holy water, like
I think
everything makes them normal.
that was one of the only places ever, I think, in all my vampire watching that I've ever seen that.
Yeah, I've
So
never seen that.
I do think that's creative and interesting because you kind of don't see it coming because they explain it away, right? It's like, well, we think it's him, so they bait and switch you because he passes all the vampire tests,
Right.
right? But then all of a sudden, and also he seems like a nice, like gentlemanly man, right? And all the his little underlings are very like rockery and gothy and like mischievous boys. So it doesn't seem like there's a connection really. So after he kind of makes that admission, he goes on to say he had been hoping to create a vampire family by having both Michael and Sam turned and then thereby kind of coercing Lucy to join them because he didn't think she'd be able to resist if her sons had already been turned. So Michael, or Max rather, reveals his true form, his true vampire form, and Sam tries to go after Max. Like Star tries to go after him, Sam tries to go after him, but he's strong because he's the head vampire, and it doesn't work out. So Max actually has Sam almost in like a headlock or something, and he's basically like, "I'm gonna f him up. So do you want to be a part of this or no?" So she thinking she's going to save him, essentially, is like, "Yes, okay." Like I'll do what you want. Max is then about to turn Lucy, but at the last minute, Grandpa crashes through the wall in his car that is loaded with like lamppost-sized stakes, really big, one of which shoots into Max and takes him out. Everyone else is kind of there's all these explosions that occur all of a sudden, like the fireplace blows up and everything's exploding and crazy. So they all survive that, but they look a little crispy. Like they're all like blackened by smoke and such. But we see that Michael Starr and Laddie have returned to their original forms, no longer vampires. Grandpa, who hasn't said a damn thing after all this, he like goes in the kitchen, grabs like a beer or soda or something, and they're all like, hey, Grandpa, like Dad, what's up? And he finally turns and he's like,
One thing about living in Santa Carla I never could stomach. All the damn vampires.
he says all the damn vampires, and we fade to black.
Yep.
And that is our movie. That is our vampire movie.
Woo-hoo.
I loved how they closed it out with Grandpa. I
It was
thought
good.
that
It
was
was
fun.
good. Yeah.
Solid. Yeah. So what were you, this was your first time watching this, is that correct?
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
as a first time viewer of The Lost Boys and the Saxophone Man and everything else, what are your thoughts about The Lost Boys?
I thought this was an interesting movie. It was an interesting take on vampires. It's weird. I don't really have too much to say. I think that it was very similar. I understand why this was compared to Near Dark, our other vampire teenage coming of age Western movie, because there are very similar themes in Near Dark. There's a boy who's a teenager who likes a girl. He follows her. He ends up getting turned, and then he and the girl don't want to be vampires because they're well, she's a full vampire and he's a half vampire because he has not done the first kill yet, and they end up somehow defeating the clan, and they use blood transfusions in order to change back into humans, which I
It's
think is
so
also
irritating.
weird.
So irritating.
And then in this one, you also have a boy who follows a girl. He ends up getting turned up because he drinks out of a bottle that he should not have drank out of. Then that turns him to a half vampire, and they also don't want to be vampires anymore. So they defeat the clan, and then they figure out, oh shit, gotta kill head vampire, and they then turn back into humans.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very, very close comparison. So I get it, but I do think that having the Coreys, because we have Corey Haim and Corey Feldman in this movie, I
Yes, the
thought that was really
Corys.
cool.
Hmm.
Kiefer Sutherland is great. I
Hot.
like
Sorry.
I like the mom. Her name is Diane something. I can't remember her last name. I apologize.
She's been the mom in so many shows and
Yes.
movies. Like
She was in Edward Scissorhands.
she was
If
the
you
mom in
guys
Footloose.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I love her though. I think I like the way she acts, her speaking and stuff. So I mean, I thought that this was a good movie. I also like we you didn't really mention it, but at the end when Max is like turning into a vampire and he's like telling Lucy like I did all this for you because I wanted you and I still want you, girl. And Michael has been like in the taxidermy room the whole time. He has not shown himself. And when he comes out, he's still his vampire form. He's like, I
No.
didn't invite you in this time, Max. And I'm like, that's right, he didn't.
Yeah.
Even though once you invite them in, it's like, you invite them in, period. So
Right.
it doesn't really
That's
matter.
what went through my head when you said that. I was like, but you
Yeah.
already did before, so it doesn't matter. Whatever.
Right.
It's
I'm like,
fine.
so you already fucked up, sir. But I like that at that point he was like, I didn't invite you in. Like, oh, you're trying to take it back now, too late. But yeah, I thought this was a fun vampire movie. Yeah, it kept my attention. It kept my attention. So that's
Okay.
all I'm gonna say for now.
I just want to share about Diane. It looks like Weist. It's
Yeah.
Wiest. Mom and Edward Scissorhands. Mom from the Birdcage. Amazing. She was one of
Hmm.
the aunts in Practical Magic. She was a mom in Footloose. She played a mom in Sisters. That's a newer movie with Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. So she is like one of those like she's really good at playing a mom, but she's just amazing. And she has way more than that. I just want to list the ones that like might be the most familiar.
She's one of those women, if you see her face, you like, oh yeah, I remember her and stuff.
Absolutely.
And she looks a little like Renee Zellweger, just a little bit.
A little bit. I could
So
see it. Yeah.
yeah.
I really didn't like Near Dark. I'm sorry, everyone. I didn't like it. I feel like this movie is a much easier watch. Like I had a really hard time getting through Near Dark. I found it like kind of boring. Like I thought this moved better for me. And it wasn't just because it was nice to look at the boys. Like it wasn't only for that. It was because I think the story just flowed better. And I thought it was just like I don't know, more interesting overall. And with that being said, they both were more creative takes on like your typical standard vampire movie. So I like that about both of them. But this was one I hadn't watched again in a long time. Like I've seen it before, of course, but it was fun to rewatch it and I enjoyed it. And I don't really have a ton to say about it. Like it's solid. It's a good movie and it's fun to see like some of the other vampires we didn't talk about them too much are familiar people from the 80s, right? Are familiar actors
Right.
from the 80s. It's fun to see them all together. It's fun to see young Kiefer Sutherland. Why can't I say his name? Ah! It's fun to see them act. I don't know. I liked it. Good stuff.
Okay.
Do you have any fun facts for us?
Of course I do. So
I thought you were gonna be like, no. No, I don't. No, I
no,
don't.
I do. So, of course, we
Mhm.
always start with our budget and our gross. This movie had a budget of approximately $8.5 million,
Hmm.
and it grossed over $32 million domestically,
Wow.
making it a box office success. And it
People love
is,
vampires.
they
Yeah.
do. And this
Mhm.
is a cult classic as well. Now, Critical reception on Rotten Tomatoes, The Lost Boys holds a 76% critic score, with many praising its stylish direction and blend of horror and humor. But of course, we have the hater Roger Ebert, who gave it a 2.5 stars out of
Of
5,
course.
noting that while it wasn't very scary at all, it was fun and it had really great energy.
It was fun.
Yeah. Now, audience reception, of course, audience embraced it with a cult level enthusiasm, giving it an 85% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes
Wow.
and a 7.2 out of 10 on IMDb. Fans have said that they love its gothic style, its teen rebellion, and quotable one-liners.
Yeah.
So, there's that. Now, with casting choices, Kiefer Sutherland's role as David was initially much smaller, and he was not meant to be as prominent as he
Wow.
was in the movie. But due to his strong screen presence and his intense stare and iconic look, it made him a standout. So they gave him more screen time.
I'm so glad they
Um,
did.
yeah. The Lost Boys title is a nod to Peter Pan and his band of forever young boys. But
Hmm.
in this version, of course, it comes with eternal bloodlust. So there's that.
I like that better. Just
Of
saying.
course, of course. Of course, we have the Frog Brothers, whose names Edgar and Allan are a clever reference to Edgar Allan Poe. That was actually purposeful. The
Precious.
master of Gothic horror. And we talked about the sax man icon Tim Capello, the shirtless, oiled up saxophone player, is a fan favorite. And his performance of I Still Believe is unforgettable. And he still performs this at horror conventions. So if you catch him somewhere, he will be there topless, oiled up with his
I don't
saxophone gyrating for you.
I don't think I'd be able to witness that without hysterically laughing. And not in a way that's like judgmental or
Right.
like or hating on him, but in a way that's like this is so enjoyable but also very strange that I just don't think I could get through it without laughing.
Yeah, I would feel a little interesting watching that myself. I felt weird watching it just now, so I'm sure
I
I'd
hope
feel
that we can witness that together. That would be great to go
that would be very interesting.
we go wait for a panel and watch that together. We're just like,
Yeah.
wow. Wow.
So,
That'd be so
um,
funny.
right. So this movie also heavily incorporates comic book visuals and references like Superman and Batman, and it also inspired a comic book sequel series
Hmm,
called The Lost Boys, The Reign of the Frogs. So they
interesting.
have their own comic book. This movie was also shot in Santa Cruz, California, using the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk as the main set.
Cool.
But of course, Santa Cruz itself was not thrilled about being linked to vampires. So that municipality was like, we don't like this. And to this day, they still hate the fact that they have been linked to vampires.
I feel
Um,
like that's weird. Okay,
yeah.
here's my thing. And I don't know how I feel about this. I don't have hard evidence, but I shared with you guys on an earlier episode New Orleans vampire lore. To this day, people really claim that there are vampires there that walk among them.
Hmm.
In the government, if you are like, we don't like that we are associated with vampires because whatever reason you have, that indicates to me that you think that vampires are actually real. I'm just saying, because if you didn't, if it's fictional, why do you care? It's a
Right.
silly thing, right? It's just like a
Yeah.
dumb whatever. But it's like we don't like that we don't have any vampires here. That's crazy. What are you talking about, right?
Right. There are no
So
vampires here. What are you talking about? No, not at all.
Judge
We
just
take
pops
we
up on the
take
boardwalk.
we take care of our own. Yeah.
I like the idea of him just popping up in different places to just say weird things and then disappear again. But really, that is what that indicates to me. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a little suspicious then. That's a
Yeah,
little weird. Like,
I don't know why they would be upset about that. Like I could understand if this was something actually real. And also I would think they would be more upset if they said Santa Cruz. They called it Santa Carla, which is a fictional place. And
right.
yes, if you recognize the Santa Cruz boardwalk, then you're like, "Oh, it's actually Santa Cruz." Me personally, I've never been to Santa Cruz. Never even paid any attention to it. I just
Nope.
saw it as a boardwalk that was in the fictional place of Santa Carla, the murder capital of the world. Okay? So,
Right. I
yeah,
agree.
I don't see why they had a big
I don't know.
hoopla about it, but
Sounds like they actually have a real vampire problem to me. I don't know. I'm just
they
saying.
might really be the murder capital of the world. Who knows?
Maybe. Maybe.
Well, David's death was ambiguous because unlike the other vampires, David doesn't explode or disintegrate when he dies. And director Joel Schumacher left this open ended on purpose, possibly to leave room for a sequel. Interesting.
Mm.
And so there was a deleted scene. There was a subplot involving a vampire woman named Sheila, but this was filmed and then cut out because it would have added more lore to the vampire gang, and they just didn't want to go that deep into
Mm.
that storyline.
Gotcha.
And my last little snippet here, Joel Schumacher had a vision. He wanted to inject glam rock aesthetics, teen angst, and a killer soundtrack to the film, although it's just one song.
Over and
Um,
over.
and turning what could have been into a basic horror flick into a cultural phenomenon. And so that's what he was going for. And that's honestly with one song in the books, that's what he got.
I
So
think he achieved
yeah,
that goal, so
yeah.
good for him. Thank you, Joel Schumacher, for that. Wow.
Indeed. So that is the end of
Hmm.
my fun facts.
Those are very fun, very facty. Wow, okay. Well, do you want to take a turn with the bloody axes and rate this bitch?
Yes. So let's say how many bloody axes does this movie get? I think that this is your typical 1987 horror movie. It has the aesthetics. It's because it's 1987. It's leaning a little bit more towards 90s to me. It's like we're making that transition from deep 80s into 90s because
Yeah.
a lot of Sam's outfits gave me early 90s vibes. He had very colorful, like not color blocking, but very colorful Saved by the Bell type outfits. And so I like that honestly, and I was like, oh, because it made me check. I'm like, wait, what year is this? But 1987. But I think that it was a good storyline. I honestly feel like this I watched Near Dark on 1.5 speed because it was on YouTube and I was able to. And honestly, if I could watch every movie on 1.5 speed, I would because I just don't have the capacity to just be sitting through movies that are
Right, right, right.
slow. But I feel like this movie to me kind of felt the same as Near Dark. I didn't dislike Near Dark. I thought Near Dark was hokey and I
Hmm.
thought that it was just kind of weird. I'm like, oh, this is odd. Lost Boys obviously is much more polished. It had a much bigger budget. It was made by somebody who has more skin in the game, and so
Not their
overall,
hair skin though, from their
right,
from
yeah.
their yeah. That's
But
sad.
this movie just kind of is better. It is better overall, but I felt similar about it. I will give this movie, and I was thinking about this, so this isn't a game day choice,
Switcheroo.
right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 7. I think that it has decent storyline. I think the acting was decent. I think that the choice to elevate Kiefer Sutherland's role was good because he did a really good job as David. I
Yeah.
will say that because I tend to get notes prior to watching movies on purpose, so I have bare bones. I already knew that there was a twist coming. I just didn't know what it was.
Hmm.
And this is one of those movies where I wish I did not know that there was a twist coming because when
Okay.
we got to the point where as soon as Max said invite me in, I said he's a fucking vampire. As soon
Yeah.
as what's his name? Thor, whatever the dog's name was.
Thorn.
Thorn, as soon as Thorn was like rabidly trying to attack Lucy, I said, "Oh, he's a vampire. He's got to
Right.
be the head vampire." So it already kind of like made me know that that twist was coming, and I wish I didn't know that because I feel like that would have made this movie so much
More
more
enjoyable.
impactful,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I probably would have given it an 8 because that twist would have been so good because they do bait and switch you. Also, I got to the point where I thought that I thought that their dog, which who I keep calling Nymeria, which I think is a Game of Thrones
It's
reference.
Game of Thrones. It's Arya's dog.
Yeah, I keep saying Nymeria. I call that dog Nymeria through the whole thing. So y'all know who I'm talking about. But the good dog,
Nanook, yes.
yes, Nanook. I kept thinking, oh my God, Grandpa must be an anti-vampire, and Nanook is like protecting them because he was so viciously protecting Sam from
Hmm.
Michael. And even when he killed later on, he kills one of the vampires basically by pushing it into the water bath, holy water and garlic bath soup. So I was like, oh my
Bat
God.
soup.
So I'm thinking Grandpa was gonna come in and be like the ultimate vampire killer. And when he came through the door and he killed Max with the with his car, he did. I don't know if he did it on purpose or not, but he was like these damn vampires, and I was waiting for something else to happen, and it threw me all the way off. So I was more shocked about the fact that Grandpa was just knew about the
He
vampires,
knew the
but
whole time, yeah.
right, but wasn't actually like a part of everything.
So it was like a double twist almost. There was like
Yeah,
two yeah, yeah,
right. So
yeah.
I mean, I wish that I wish that I didn't know that there was a twist coming though, but I did like the fact that Grandpa wasn't what I thought he was. So I
Yeah.
did get a twist in the end.
Yes, you
But
did. You still got a twist.
yeah.
Yeah, no,
So
I get what you're saying. It's hard too because it's like when you know that you really anticipate it or you look
right.
for those things. So I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Exactly, because I was just like, oh my God, I know that it has to be Max. It has to be Max. And I had
Right.
already in my notes, I had already seen because when I got a like an outline and it said they thought David was the main vampire. And so I already knew that David was not the main
Right, right, right,
vampire.
right.
I just didn't know who the main vampire was. So I even before I got to the point where I knew it was Max, I said, what if Grandpa's the main vampire? That would have really threw me for a loop. But but he wasn't. But anyway, all that being said, I think the movie is decent. I give it a good 7, and I think that's fair. So,
Okay.
what about you?
Well, I love vampires. I do. This is like a quintessential, like you're saying, a cult classic. It's definitely a cult classic for me. I definitely am tired of the song Cry Little Sister. It was too much. They put this, sprinkled it too much. I really like the acting. I loved basically what you're saying Joel Schumacher's vision was are like all the things that I love, especially in an 80s movie. The way they looked was awesome. The acting was good. The twists were good. I don't know, like everyone was solid. To see the Coreys together when they're young is so nice, and the little funny moments that there were sprinkled in, and I don't know, I thought it was really good. I feel like that's not like it should be more like professional than like, hey, I really liked it, but that's like what it is. With that being said, because it's not like, again, I kind of think of it, I know our rating scale is like whatever, but I think of 10 as like my most favorite thing. So it's not that, it's not 10 for me, but I'm gonna give it an 8.5 with that being said, because it is really good. It's one that I could watch. It doesn't feel long. I think it's like an hour and 43 minutes or 48 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, I saw hour 38
Okay.
actually.
It doesn't feel that long to me because it keeps it moving along. So I don't know. I think there's so much good about it. I do wonder like what your other thoughts would have been if you didn't know about the twisteroo, but
Yeah.
we'll never know. But I think these are solid scores. So it's a 7 and 8.5.
Yes.
All right. What about you guys? What do you rate The Lost Boys?
If you've seen it.
If you've seen it, and if you
Yeah,
haven't seen it, watch it and tell us what you rate it. Please and thank you.
absolutely.
We appreciate your taking the time to watch The Lost Boys. So I don't really have anything else. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Nope, I guess we'll
Take it
do
home.
the needful. So, ghouls, we've reached the end of the boardwalk. Thanks for hanging out with us in Santa Carla, where the mullets are wild, the saxophones are sweaty, and the vampires are hot, all except one.
Mm,
So, we hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the Lost Boys as much as we did. So, did you ever wish you could fly like David or hunt bloodsuckers like the Frog Brothers? Would you say yes to Max as your undead sugar daddy? Let us know. Let us know. We'd love to read your minds. I mean your comments. We love to read your comments. So you can join our spooky little clan by following us on Instagram and Facebook at the Horror Ghouls. We're streaming on every podcast platform, so check us out wherever you like to get your horror fix. And please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. And hey, if you love this trip back to 80s horror, drop us a review. It helps other creepy souls find our show and
Str-
also join our coven or
Join
clan.
us.
Yes. So until next time, stay spooky. Don't you dare drink from strange blood filled bottles.
Mm-mm.
And remember the number one rule never, ever, ever, ever invites a vampire into your house.
Don't do it.
No.
See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.